Okay, so first of all, how dare you? Second of all, how dare you? Third of all, how dare you? But yeah, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Beastars Season 2 discussion video. Today we're here to talk all about Episode 3, but before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode. So there's a few things that I want to talk about this week, and I'm going to just say this outright, and I don't know if people are necessarily going to be surprised by this or not. This was the strongest episode of the three. I loved this week's episode. I was like, yes! Everything about it was like the Beastars drama that I love, right? I have had people asking me, am I going to react to the show? And I was like, I don't know. Because like, while I was watching, I was like, nice, good, yes, good, right? Like, just kind of like nodding along with the episode, like, yes, good. But I'm not like going like, ah, like, you know, like a big reaction or anything. So I don't know if it necessarily requires a reaction. You know, if something super hype happens, then like, yeah. Or like something super like shocking or emotional happens, then yeah. But for the most part with Beastars, it's always these sort of like quiet, introspective moments that really hit for me. Outside of like the last two episodes, which definitely could be like reaction material from season 1, right? So if it's an episode like that, then yeah, tell me. Otherwise, I'm not really planning on reacting to Beastars too much. Just because again, like I think it's a series that's best suited for these more discussion type videos where we sort of dig into the episode and really like see like, wow, like this is really interesting. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. And the first thing that I really want to talk about this week is Pina, who I believe makes their first appearance. I thought it was Tem's friend for a second. I can't remember his name, but I thought it was Tem's buddy for a second. I'm like, no, the horns are different. But for a second, I was just like, yeah. So I was like, no, this man's got horns. So I was like, no, that's not quite right. But he basically is like the kind of character that I love in the sense that like the flamboyant asshole character, you know what I mean? Who like seems to have ulterior motives. I could think of a lot of characters like that. He's giving me sort of like Loki vibes. And if you can give me Loki vibes, I'm very much down to see where the character goes. I think Pina is probably, I think there's going to be some reveal that he had a connection in some way to Tem, or he is in some way aware of the new like setup from the school board where whoever catches Tem's killer will be named the Beastar. So I think it's one of the two, right? Like it's either he knew Tem and he's trying to find justice for his friend, or he found out about the Beastar thing and so he's joining the drama club specifically for the purpose of catching Tem's killer so that he can become the Beastar. Either way, I think Pina as a character is just like a really super good breath of fresh air, because we didn't really have a character like this. You know, we didn't have like the oh, like out of the way, little pup, like allow me to move over to my locker, put this away. Oh, look at those battle scars, Legoshi, how interesting, right? Like just like these like this like really fun sort of flamboyant and again sort of morally ambiguous type character, right? And the fact that he's a herbivore is all the more interesting. The herbivores actually come across as somehow more intimidating a lot in the show. Sure, Legoshi's like super strong and badass, and Bill is Bill. But like a lot of the carnivores, they just don't seem as intimidating to me as characters like Pina and Louie, and I think that's just because you don't really know what's going on with them. With carnivores, you typically do know. You know what I mean? Like with the former head of the Leo group, you knew he was just like a crazy evil douche who like wanted to eat like Haru, right? Like he was more complex than that. I'm sort of selling Haru's writing short, which I don't want to do. But he definitely, like, the carnivores, I think, are a different, like, the more, like, nefarious carnivores are a different sort compared to the ambiguous morality of a lot of, like, the herbivore characters. And I think Pina's a great example of that. I loved this introduction to this character. I am really excited to see where they go with the character from here. However, Pina's introduction was not as well regarded in universe, right? For us watching, I assume a lot of people are probably going to like Pina, but, you know, for a lot of the carnivores in the show, they do not approve, mainly because Pina calls all the carnivores ugly, which was kind of hilarious. And as you can probably tell by the screenshot, the character who I'm going to point out was the most interesting in terms of the carnivores this week is Bill, which might be surprising. I've said in the past that I love the archetype of, like, the bully character who eventually becomes friends with the good guys. And Bill is still in that transition. You know what I mean? Like, Bill is still sort of like a jerk, you know? Like, he's kind of an ass. The way that he treats Legoshi and everything, and, like, just his whole attitude is, like, just sort of douchey, right? So he's still in the middle of the, like, I'm trying to be good. But I do look forward to continuing to see Bill's progression in that direction. And I think this week in particular is really worth noting for that, because we start, like, the first interaction with Bill with him and Legoshi, like, arguing and, like, really getting in each other's faces. You can probably tell by the screenshot I'm likely using. And I think it's an important moment because, like, this sort of, like, again hammers home that, like, yeah, everybody knows about Legoshi and Haru, and they're trying to keep it hush-hush, but, like, everybody knows. In fact, everybody thinks they went all the way. And the other carnivores are weirdly interested. You know, the other carnivores are like, you can do that? Right? Like, so I'm like, I think everything that's happening in the show with these particular characters, even though they're having this, like, who's gonna be the Beastar? Oh no, these characters are actually being Beastars, which I think is the reason why it's Beastars, because I've seen somebody say, like, isn't it plural? Like, it's Beastars plural, can't there be more than one? I really doubt it. Again, I'm not a manga reader, but I really doubt they're gonna make it multiple people. I think the reason why it's called Beastars is because they're all being Beastars right now. They're all actually, like, pushing and trying to cross over the unity between herbivores and carnivores, right? Like, you have Legoshi and Haru entering this, like, relationship that's really throwing the school out of whack, right? The idea that herbivores and carnivores can, like, be together is a new concept, right? You have characters like Louis who are now eating meat, which we'll get into later, but you have this sort of mentality where, like, all these characters are sort of becoming Beastars in and of themselves, and then you have other characters who are more stuck in their ways, like Bill. However, again, like I said, the fact that Bill and the other carnivores are so interested in the idea of herbivores, like, getting together with carnivores, I do think it's interesting to keep in the back of your mind, as maybe we'll find out some stuff about Bill as we go. Maybe Bill's got a crush on a herbivore, who knows? But again, I really want to see Bill turn good, I guess. Like, not that he's a bad guy, you know, like, it's not like he's twirling his mustache and developing a, like diabolical scheme somewhere. He's just a guy, but, like, he is more antagonistic than I would like for him to be, you know? Like, I want him to be on Legoshi's side, and he kind of is. Like, what do you think about it? Because, like, when Pina is, like, trying to grill Legoshi, right? Because, again, I think Pina seems to think that Legoshi's the one who killed him, just by the way that he was grilling him. Who grabs Legoshi? Bill. Bill grabs Legoshi, and he's like, hey, you leave Legoshi alone, he's one of us, right? And I was like, whoa. And again, like, the fact that the two of them have had such friction over time, like, the two of them are, like, they've literally come to blows a few times, right? Like, they've literally fought each other. So the fact that it's gone that far, and yet Bill is still willing to, like, back Legoshi up, I think that's a good sign. I do want to see Bill sort of become good. He's an asshole right now, but I like that archetype where, like, you know, the ass turns into, like, a good person. I like that. The bully turning into, like, a friend is always a good trope in anime, so I hope we see that with Bill. Hey there! Friendly reminder that you're not actually an isekai protagonist and only have one chance to hit that sub button. Why don't you make it right now? Thank you! But speaking of the whole herbivore-carnivore thing earlier, I want to talk about the reason why I opened the video with "How dare you?" and that was this. Haru, my girl, Itagaki, why you doing this? why you out here trying to break my heart? Because that's my ship right there, and you just stomped on it. You just like, it was an adorable paper boat, and you just ripped it up in front of me, and now my ship is gone. I shouldn't say it's gone, right? Because again, I've said this like 1,000 times, and I don't know why there's this weird stigma around shipping where people think it has to be canon. Y'all are boring if your ships are all canon. I'm just gonna be outright, right? Like, if your ships are limited to canon, that is horribly boring. So nothing can necessarily kill a ship. A ship can die for you. And in that moment, I felt like Haru was trying to be like, I hope you enjoyed the Legoshi Haru ship, because now he's gonna be like all Phantom of the Opera on her ass. Like, he's just gonna be helping from a distance. In the moment, I was upset. As I'm sitting here recording the video, like basically right after watching, I've been talking for long enough that it's sort of been like ruminating with me, where I'm like, okay, I really doubt that that's gonna keep happening. They almost kissed too, which is like, just kiss. Like, oh my god. Like, I was really pulling for Legoshi, and then Legoshi has to go and ask something stupid, right? And I'm like, Legoshi, god damn it, just you don't know why, but you're dying to try. You wanna kiss the girl, just kiss the girl. God damn it. Legoshi, because you know Haru was like willing in that moment, right? So it's like you could have kissed her, and you guys would have had this beautiful moment. You can talk about Louis later, like not now, dog. Like, just, man, I'm really torn up about the Legoshi Haru thing, because it not only does it break my heart that Legoshi and Haru are probably going to spend, and I've seen people say this to me, like, and again, please don't say things like this to me, because it kind of ruins it a bit. I know you think it's not a spoiler, but I don't want to know anything, so please don't, like, tell me things like this. But a lot of people, and plug your ears for a bit if you're an anime only, it's not a huge spoiler or anything, but a lot of people have told me that Haru's not really in this arc that much, and it's like, bruh, don't do that. Like, I know it's not big, and I know you think it's whatever, but like, don't tell me that, because after seeing that, I'm like, okay, so they're just broken up for the next little bit, and it's like, bruh, don't do that. But if that's the case, and Haru's not really in this arc that much, I assume like Legoshi will spend the rest of the investigation of Tem's killer probably away from Haru. And I'm kind of upset about that, because I really grew to like Haru through season 1, and I do think she's one of the more interesting characters in the show, as well as being in one of the more interesting dynamics in the show. And just being a character, I don't know. I just like when Haru's on screen. She's just cool. So the idea that she's not around is a bit of a bummer. I don't know if that's gonna be true for the anime adaptation, because, you know, it's an anime adaptation. It doesn't have to be one-to-one with the manga. In fact, I kind of like when it's not one-to-one with the manga, just because I get to watch manga readers freak the hell out. Meanwhile, I'm still enjoying the damn thing. But I hope that the show actually keeps Haru around in some way, because I don't know, I'd feel weird if she wasn't there. Last thing I want to talk about, Louis and the Leo group, or what is their name? The Shishigumi, I believe, is what people want me to call them. I keep writing down Leo group in my notes, so I might, just read it as Leo group this week. I'll try to remember Shishigumi. That's my bad. That's my bad, guys. I'm gonna try to remember Shishigumi, but I'm gonna call it Leo group this week. And then I'll write in my notes next time Shishigumi, promise. It's just, when I'm watching the PAS sub, they sub it as Leo group. But that was not quite what I expected. And again, it's really hammering home the idea that even though these characters aren't all gonna be the B-star, they're all doing B-stars things, you know what I mean? Like, they're like being the hero for this community without even realizing it. They're pushing the community forward without even meaning to. Even if Louis is doing it on the dark side, right? Like, even if Louis is doing it for organized crime, he's still, like, changing the way that the world views the dynamic between herbivores and carnivores. And watching how he was inducted into the Leo group is really interesting. Because to me, it's like, I was curious how that went down. I'm kind of surprised they showed it. I didn't, or at the very least that they showed it this early. I wasn't expecting to see it this quickly, but we do, and it's interesting, right? Because like Louis the whole time is just like, nah. Like I'm not, like, if you Like, I'm not joining you guys. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just gonna put myself out of my own misery. Hell no. And he tries to straight up off himself, but then the one lion with the glasses, who strikes me as a character who I'm probably gonna end up liking before the end of the show, just because I'm like, first of all, he's a Megane type, and then second of all, he's giving me like mentor vibes, which I also appreciate. So like, there's just something about the character that I'm like, I'm probably gonna like this dude by the end, but I'm not super sure. Like, he seems like he's gonna be the one who, like, of all the lions, he's gonna be the one who actually legitimately cares about Louis, and we kind of get that vibe in the ED. But the way that he sort of is like prodding Louis along and like really curious about him and trying to get him to join the Leo group is interesting. But I think the most interesting point is like Louis attempting to join them by like realizing like, okay, they just gave me meat. Either I can eat this and keep playing this game that they're playing with me, or I can refuse and then I turn into the next meal that they have. Those are my options. And so out of, I think, like a desire to keep going, you know, like, because he even says like, just survive, Louis eats a piece of buffalo meat and then says, "Suge!" Like, he's like, more! And I was like, whoa. I don't know what, I almost expected him to be like, you guys eat this crap? Disgusting, right? Like, I was expecting him to like brush it off like, gross. But he ends up going like, that was awesome. Holy shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. Do deers eat meat? I don't think so. Right? Because I was like, I think there are some deers that eat meat. I believe like zombie deers are actually a thing. I think. I could be wrong about that. Somebody fact check me. But I feel like that's a thing. But yeah, I love the way that you see the blue and red aura surrounding Louis as he's like making this decision to eat meat to keep fighting to stay alive and to become the leader of the Leo group. Like, watching him struggle to like beat his own animal instincts is so interesting. Like because it's the same thing that Legoshi and Haru were doing, only they were doing some sexual shit. Whereas like Louis is struggling on both an internal and external point where he's like, I have to do this to survive, but it literally goes against everything that my body is telling me is right. And that is super interesting. Again, like, Beastars, I think, is like one of the more interesting series I've ever gotten to like cover here on the channel. Anyway, with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up my thoughts here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AnyTube know that you're here. And of course, before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names. And hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are two ways to do so. The first is by hitting that Patreon link in the description, and the second is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past this screen here. So if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and hit that join button or check out the Patreon page. Either way, super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to those of you in the T Squadron, but for now, that's it for me. So until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.